to all our viewers out there. My name is Heinrich Neetling, and this is Mathematical Literacy. In today's lesson, we'll focus on the drawing of different type of graphs. Now, just before I start with our lesson, let me quickly check something with you. Did you know that graphs and charts are effective visual tools because they present information quickly and easily? It is therefore not surprising that graphs are commonly used by print and electronic media. Now, what is it that I'll expect of you today? So here are our lesson objectives. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to, first of all, distinguish between horizontal axis and the vertical axis. And I'll say more on this as we continue with the lesson. You should also be able to identify the dependent and independent variables. And remember, the two goes together with the first bullet. Then also you must be able to provide all graphs with an appropriate heading and be able to correctly label axes. And you may think, why is this important? Remember, all of this will count marks. And then also you must be able to draw different types of graphs. Hence, that is our topic for today's lesson. Now let's continue. What are the pre-knowledge that you should have at this point in time? So I indicated here that once the data collected has been organized, it can be displayed in a suitable graph. Right, so the clearest way to represent a graph or data is by using a graph. Also important to note is a graph provides more visual impact, right, than a list or a table and shows more information about the data. Then I indicated here that each type of graph offers a different picture of the data, and certain graphs are more appropriate for particular types of data, and we'll look into that as well. Now let's quickly look at what will be expected in today's lesson. So we will be looking at line graphs. Thereafter we'll move to broken line graphs, and then we'll also look at bar graphs. Okay, so let's quickly do a quick practice, all right? And I want you to do this with me. So the first question here is indicating, it says, state whether the following statement is true or false. Now let's look at what the statement is. It says, you are not expected to draw a pie chart. Guys, so in this case, that is true. Remember, according to CAPS, right, you are not expected to draw a pie chart. But I want to make it clear, however, you must be able to interpret a pie chart, and you also must be able to do calculations based on pie charts. So I don't want you to waste your time basically trying to draw a pie chart, but it's important though that you understand that you are able to interpret a pie chart. Looking now at the second question, it says identify the type of graph that is displayed. Now let's look at the type of graph. So when we look at this, right, we can see this is a box and whisker plot, a box and whisker graph. Now, I also want to connect this to what I've asked you here. All right, remember pie chart, and let me quickly write it down. This is a box and whisker plot. Right, now these are the two types of graphs that you are not expected to draw. Okay, so please note, you must be able, however, to interpret it. Then let's look at our last question. Here I asked, choose the correct option. So it says the horizontal axis represent the dependent or independent variable. Now, whilst we're at this point, remember, this is horizontally and this is vertically. Remember, we're going to draw graphs today. So I'm going to say that again, horizontally, that is vertically. So the question is, the horizontal axis represents, so meaning this axis here, right, represent the dependent or independent variable. Remember, this horizontal axis represents your independent variable. So your independent variable will be on your horizontal axis. I hope that is clear. Please make a note of that because you will need it as we move on with this lesson. Now let's look at some other important words and language that you should be familiar with. So I indicated here different types of graphs. Remember, we are working with graphs, so make sure you are able to distinguish between the types of graphs and also to know the different properties on each graph. First up, I said here that a pie chart is a circular graph that is divided up into different sections or sectors for that matter. Then we also indicated here that a histogram is a type of bar graph that shows how frequently data occur within certain intervals. Then I indicated that there are different bar graphs, right? But first of all, what is a bar graph? A bar graph is a graph that compares different amounts using vertically or horizontal bars. And then we distinguish between multiple bar graphs, double bar graphs, or compound vertical stack graphs. Then, also important, different types of graphs. Let's continue. We are looking now at the line graph. This is a graph that uses line segments to connect the data points and shows changes in data over time. Then we also have what we call a broken line graph, right? So may have numbers that alternate, they change, right, between increasing and decreasing. And it does not keep a consistent straight line. So I want you to take note of the 2 points here. Then I also indicate a multiple line graph. It's either a line or a broken line graph that shows changes in data over time for more than one category, right? That's where the word multiple is coming from. Then, looking at the next one, scatter plots. And a scatter plot is made up of plotting ordered pairs in a coordinate plane to show sets of numerical data, and the points are not connected by a line. Guys, let us quickly take a short advert break. After the break, we'll put some maths into what I've said so far. See you now.